College? Classic! Just say college! No, don't say college. Classic campus. If you don't mean it, you know what we're doing? We're doing a Larry D. Harper. And by the way, happy Halloween, Larry D. Harper. Do you want a whopper? Yeah, a whopper with fries and a Coke. No, do you want to? Do you want to hear a whopper? Yeah, I want a whopper with fries and a Coke. I said, do you want to hear a whopper? Yeah. They're giving out free candy over there at the Burger King, by the way, so you better get out over there. Right now we're in a dispensational session on a theory of a retardation. Actually means that retardation theory represents never mind. Okay, so what we're doing here is two views, one point of disagreement. Let's hear it. Shoot your way, babe. Now, you know the truth about the two basic issues on which covenant and dispensational theologians say they disagree. Now, he's got, I don't know, we got the millennial, premillennial, the existing millennial, and then we have the non-existing. Okay. Not that many. I think there's about 12 of them. Okay, that's the premillennial, the millennial, right? The existing millennial, the non-existing millennial, the premarital millennial, existing millennial marital. Okay, never mind. Okay, so here we go. Now, you know the truth about the two basic issues on which covenant and dispensational theologians say they disagree. The method one used in, or one should use in interpreting the scriptures, and two, the relationship of Israel to the church, as I just stated. The heart of the dispensationalists' interest in interpreting the scriptures literally is their identification of the Jews as a literal Israel spoken of by the prophets. I think Paul Crouch Jr. would really get off on this. And so there is actually only one issue that separates covenant theology from the dispensational theology. That is whether the church or the Jews should be identified as Israel or not. I have a Israel flag hanging on my doorstep. I have an American flag there. My last name means Abraham. It comes from the Ibram, or Ibarra, spelled I-B-A-R-R-A first, then Y-B-A-R-R-A. A lot of people know that. R-Bar, R-Bara, etc. It means Abraham. Oh, when I found that out, I was very surprised. It got to be Ibarra when it came to the Americas, because before that it was Ibar. You gotta remember, in America it's A-E-I-O-U, sometimes Y, so they added the Y to that. But it got to be Bar and Ibarra when they ran for their lives as Jews, and it was Abraham. Because a lot of them took on that name, Abraham, for their names. Now, covenant theologians adhere to the traditional Christian view that the church is spiritual Israel. Our dispensationalists ignorantly uphold Darby's claim that the Jews are literal Israel and there is no spiritual Israel. Well, no, there is spiritual Israel. That's very untrue. No, there is. There's very much spiritual Israel. I'm going to tell you a story that I saw on TBN, but I don't have time right now, but there is a spiritual Israel, and the Islamics are attacking Israel. They call them Muslims, but I don't know. Muslim. I don't know if it was Saudi Arabia, was it? Okay, it was Muslims. Okay, remember, if it's Saudi Arabia, then we know they're Muslims. Okay, so here we go. So we see that they're being attacked, and one of the Muslims say it's Father Abraham. Father Abraham. They're getting ready to just attack the Israelites and destroy them, and they could have did it. And they saw this great big Father Abraham, and they all took off running, scared of him. That saved their lives. Spiritual Israel. So we see here that spiritual Israel, however, neither side has a completely accurate understanding of the truth of the scriptural message. The truth is Jesus Christ is literal Israel, and the church is parabolically his spiritual body. And therefore, on that one issue at least, covenant theology has a somewhat better understanding of the truth. And that's not surprising. John Calvin had a greater regard of historic Christian beliefs than Darby the Dunce did. Okay, now I'm going to talk about Calvin and all that. And I don't really have the same, Calvinism, Darwinism. Calvin was bad. Okay, not bad on the sense of he was no good. He was bad. People like him. Calvin. But Darwin, people frown upon him. They say he renounced God. I really believe he renounced the people. I don't believe he renounced God. I believe he was renouncing everything he was teaching them. They were bad. They were bad. I was looking at somebody, Luther, come here, the Pope, I hate the Pope. They started drawing pictures of the Pope and putting the Pope in Hoof's feet. Calling him Satan. You're not supposed to do that to the Pope. They were drawing pictures of Protestants, making fun of them, calling them Satan. You're not supposed to do that to their religious beliefs. You're not supposed to call them the devil. So here we have Calvin and the other reformers left the door wide open for Satan to use Darby's prophetic system to convince most of the evangelical church that the Jews are little Israel, and the church should not be identified with Israel in any way. No, that's wrong. You see, a lot of people think Calvin, he's the bomb, he's great. But, he's got his issues. All these guys did. When you read the book of Luther and Life of Luther, and you see some of the things that were going on there, you have to say to yourself, no, this guy's not completely on Luther's side. It's not his friend. Then you see him over there with the Pope, and you say, well, that's kind of like two-faced, And so you're throwing up in the air about these guys who are trying not to get excommunicated. That's tough. It's a tough world, man. I'm telling you. Okay, so let's finish. Until Darby came up with his idiotic notion that the Jews are literal Israel, the church had always identified itself with spiritual Israel, heir of the promised God made to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But after Origen introduced his folly around AD 200, the devil, or the wicked one, was able to entice the church into fuzzy thinking concerning the identity of literal Israel. Even John Calvin was sucked into the vortex by the Augustine what Augustine had written, and consequently he exhibited a decided ambivalence concerning the Jews and what, if any, role they continue to play in God's plan. Well, of course they do. You'll see that in Smyrna. When you read Revelations 2 and you look at the second candlestick of Smyrna, they say, well, we're broke, we're destitute. Well, oh God, I'm running my clothes. God says, no, stop. No, I love you. So if you have read and believed the things I presented in Not at All Israel is Israel, you should already know that Darby's goofiness is nothing more than the wicked one's lie. According to the scriptures, Jesus Christ is literal Israel, heir to all the promises of God. The church is spiritual Israel only in the sense that it is parabolical to the spiritual body of Jesus Christ, the body he took on at his resurrection. This guy's trying to start an argument, I think, like Luther did with the Pope. You agree? Nah. Therefore, contrary to what most folks believe, Jesus Christ is both literal Israel and spiritual Israel, and it is sheer blasphemy to say that the regenerated Jews are in any way still a part of Israel. But the Apostle Paul explains all those things in parabolic imagery that is simple enough for anyone to understand if they really want to. So let's go on to see how the wicked one has managed to convince most of the evangelical Protestant church that Darby's idiotic identification of the Jews as a literal Israel is true. Okay, so here we go. We finished that up in record time, 10 minutes, and we're moving on to the next verse. It's College Classic Campus Hits. I know you're having fun. Happy Halloween.